Hari Om. Let us chant from verses 16 to 25 of chapter 7. Chaturvidha bhajante ma jana sukritinojuna arto jignasuratati jnani cha bharata shabha तेषां ज्ञानी नित्ययुक्तः एकभक्तिर्विशिष्यते प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनोत्यर्थम् अहं स च मम प्रियः उदारा सत्त्वये ज्ञानी त्वात्मैव मे मतम् आस्थितः स हि युक्तात्मा मामेवानुत्तमां गतिम् बहूनां जन्मनामन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रबध्यते वासुदेवः सर्वमिति समहात्मा सुदुर्लभः कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानाः प्रबध्यन्तेऽन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया यो यो यां यां तनुं भक्तः श्रद्धयार्चितुमिच्छति तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धां तामेव विदधाम्यहम् सतया श्रद्धया युक्तः तस्याराधनमीहते लभते च ततः कामान् मयैव विहितान् हितान् अन्तवत्तु फलं तेषां तद्भवत्यल्पमेधसां देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि अव्यक्तं व्यक्तिमापन्नं मन्यन्ते मामबुद्धयः परं भावमजानन्तः ममाव्ययमनुत्तमम् नाहं प्रकाशः सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको मामजमव्ययम्
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति शांति शांति। We have a question. We'll take up the question and then we'll get to the text.
The thing is, I want to know what is the exact corresponding spiritual experience in relation to Salokyam, Salupyam, Samipyam, and Sahyajam. For exact spiritual experience.
The question is in relation to the 4 stages that we spoke about last week. Salokyam, Samipyam, Sarupyam, Sayujyam. What is the exact?
Spiritual experience.
Spiritual experience.
At every stage.
At every stage. Till Sayujyam happens, there is no spiritual experience. The satisfaction is you are getting closer and closer. Are you able to follow the difference? there is no such thing called spiritual experience. And these kind of spiritual experiences doesn't happen in grades like that. Spiritual experience is only, if at all you want to call it as an experience, it is only one. That is Sayujyam, where the union happens. Are you able to follow first? Why we don't call all other things as experience? Because every experience has the division of experiencer and the experienced. Are you able to follow? Since there is this division of experiencer and experienced, there cannot be something called spiritual experience, even though people talk about all. Then what is this 4 grades talking about? Salokyam, Samipyam, Sarupyam. Now, what is all this talking about? You know that you are getting closer and closer and closer. The satisfaction that you are on the path and the satisfaction that you are getting closer and closer happens. That satisfaction, in a very loose term, you can call it a spiritual experience. But strictly don't use the word spiritual experience at all.
So I take this spiritual happiness.
You can say the satisfaction. There is no, don't use the word spiritual at all. Just use the word happiness. Have satisfaction. The satisfaction, the happiness that you are on the path and you are getting closer and closer and closer. There is a satisfaction that the seeker experiences. It is, it's not a concept. It is derived out of the seeker's experience. So it is not some concept here. What is the experience? You know that you are on the path and you know that you are getting closer and closer. And the fact that you are getting closer and closer, there is an inner satisfaction. There is an inner motivation, the satisfaction, at the same time motivation to do more. It's a beautiful state of existence for the spiritual seeker, which is divided into these 4 categories. Salokyam, Samipyam, Sarupyam, Sayajyam. Are you able to follow? So these 4 stages are satisfaction. Satisfaction of a seeker. Corresponding to some practical example. The practical example is you are nearing. I'm not going into that example again. We have seen that example in detail last week. It's not the example that matters. So what we are discussing now is the 4. The satisfaction that arises when you are getting closer and closer. There is that satisfaction. Experience happens only at the end. That's why we don't call it as spiritual experience. For the very word experience, always remember this, very word experience by default brings the division between the 2. The experiencer and the experienced. There is no spiritual experience because there is no one experiencing the other. There is no subject experiencing the object. There is no ego experiencing God. There is no ego experiencing God. The absence of ego. The satisfaction is the ego is getting lesser and lesser. The ego is melting. The ego is, the intensity of the ego is reducing. The very fact that the ego is melting, the intensity of the ego is reducing is the satisfaction. And you know that you are on the path. Are you able to follow?
Yeah.
That's what the 4 stages talks about. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second question.
Yes.
The book says steadfast in mind. So my question is, what does steadfast in mind means?
Which verse?
That's what we are in now.
Verse number 18. The question is reference to verse number 18, what we are studying now.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
I want to know what is steadfast in mind அப்படின்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்?
Yes.
And why Krishna says mind, why not steadfast in intellect? So if that is the thing, then is steadfast in mind and steadfast in wisdom, are they same?
First, the question is steadfast in mind. In verse number 18, he says steadfast in mind. Why the word mind is used, not the word intellect. In Vedanta, you should be very clear that sometimes when they use the word intellect, it will mean mind. Sometimes when they use the word mind, it will mean intellect. That's the language of the Shastras. Again, I repeat. That's where in the Atmabodha commentary, when it is Atmabodha, in one of the sessions, I distinctly remember explaining this. In the context, when they use the word mind, they mean intellect. When they use the word intellect, they mean the mind, because it's since it is a very spontaneous, talk, they are not so careful about using the words, but the concept doesn't change. Are you able to follow? Your question is correct. Why not be consistent and keep using the consistent words where it's clear? No. What she is asking is, why not Vedanta? Why these spiritual masters don't use consistent words? And so that it's very clear. Debit na debit, credit na credit. Sometimes debit means credit, sometimes credit means debit na. How do I understand? That's the question. That's what she is asking. For which the answer is, the style of Vedantic literature is mind sometimes is used to be mind. Sometimes the word mind is used to mean the intellect. Sometimes intellect is used to be the mind. The word Atman sometimes is used to refer to Brahman. Sometimes the word Atman is used to refer to the ego. Sometimes the word Atman is used to refer to ghosts also. Because the same word Atma means ghosts also, isn't it? Ghost. So are we referring to Brahman, or are we referring to the ego, or is it reference to the ghost? By reflection and understanding the context, we interpret it right. Are you able to follow? That's where the reflection and sticking to the context will help us to rightly understand what he is saying. Illana, it will be like a group discussion only. It will become like the group discussion. And the purpose of Shastras is deliberately they use these words. Deliberately they interchange. Why? Every time the words are interchanged, you have a choice to revisit the concept. You have a choice to reflect. Otherwise, it goes into the memory and you say, I know, what next? You never have a choice to reflect. You never have a choice to revisit the concept again and again and again. Are you able to follow? A very, very interesting methodology of teaching. Philosophy. That's where the worldly teaching and philosophical teaching are very distinct and different. In the worldly sciences, it's precise. In philosophy, it is liberal. Liberal doesn't mean concepts change. The concepts don't change. But the choice of words is very liberal. Also, it is poetry. Also, it's poetry. We have to accept, we have to study, we have to understand that we are hair splitting poetry. Hair splitting, you understand hair splitting? Yeah. Hair splitting is horizontal, hair splitting can be vertical. What kind of hair splitting we are doing here? Horizontal or vertical? Poetry. Are you able to follow? It's not only, so we take poetry and we are making it into, we are slicing it, we are splitting it as much as we could. In that process, what happens? The original text, because of being poetry in nature, they will use words very, very liberal. Very liberally they will use words. Why? Because philosophy has to be taught liberally. We are not used to the liberal education. We are so used to, in the name of precise, we only memorize. We don't reflect. In the name of precision, you get to only memorize. You don't have a choice to reflect at all. In Vedanta, in philosophy, in Vedanta, the focus is on reflection. It means the words have to be very flexible. The words have to be very fluid, and it should fit in the context. So you interpret it according to the context. Now, this is the general understanding why the word mind, intellect, and all is not used. So I'm only answering that part of the question. Is it okay till now? It's okay till now? Philosophy, they say, is very confusing. Philosophy is not confusing. The words are interchangeably used. So it appears to be confusing. Like Arjuna says, Tadekam vada nischitya yena shreyoham apnuyam. Tell me in one word precisely. Tell me in one word precisely. Why can't you be clear and say it very, why can't you be simple? Why can't you have some, why can't you understand the listener's problem and make it clear and straightforward? As it is, we are confused and come and sit, and you make it, you are making it more confusing, Krishna. Tadekam vada nischitya. Nischitya means you be clear first. You be clear, and what are you saying? That's what the word nischaya means. Somebody says something, immediately what you'll ask? You know what you are talking, we ask, no? So you know what you are talking, no? Tadekam vada, eka vada, and that one word must be nischaya. Nischaya means be very, do you understand what you are saying? You are very confusing. Since Krishna is not taking Sunday class, he conveniently ignored that question of Arjuna. He never answered that question. He started straight away saying, Loke esmin dvivida nishta pura prokta mayana gandol. He started. Ekavada nischitya, that answer he didn't give. Why? Because he's not doing a Sunday class, no. Yeah. அதில் ஒரு வெங்கட்டோட சாண்டிங் அரவிந்தனோட டிஸ்கஷன் ஆக தான் இதெல்லாம் வரும் இல்லையா? Krishna level, he chooses what to answer, and these kind of questions they don't even answer. Even Arjuna asked a few questions and Krishna chose to answer only. Why? Because that's what has to be answered. It means Arjuna should have understood the style of the Shastras. He can't, that's the style of the Shastras. And it has a reason. What is the reason? By using different words, that's how built-in reflection is maintained. They use different words so that every time a word like this is used, you are forced to reflect. If they use the same words, it will appear very consistent, but kindergarten education, it will be like kindergarten education where you can only memorize. Are you able to follow? Now coming to this verse. Steadfast in mind. Now I'm answering the verse. Now I'm coming to the commentary. Noble indeed are all these, but the Jnani I deem as verily myself, for he is steadfast in mind, he is established in me alone as the supreme goal. So what he is talking here, steadfast means steadfast in mind, he is established in me. Two attributes. Follow? Steadfast in mind, comma. That's where, even though Sanskrit doesn't have those comma and all, in English he puts that comma. Steadfast in mind, comma. Don't miss that comma. steadfast in mind, comma, established in me alone as the supreme goal. Meaning, establishment could be interpreted as established in the goal, which is the function of the intellect. Steadfast in mind means steadfast in that emotion wanting to merge with the supreme reality. Are you able to understand the difference? Steadfast in mind means your steadfast in mind means your emotion. What is the emotion? What is the emotion? What are we discussing? Bhakti here. So steadfast in mind equates to bhakti. And what is bhakti? We have seen that already. Bhakti means steadfast in mind is another way of saying ananya chinta. So wherever he talk about steadfastness, what you should remember? Ananya chinta. Wherever he talks about steadfastness, what you should remember? Ananya chinta, ananya chinta. Because of it being poetry, he uses different words, but the concept is the same. Ananya chinta. Noble indeed are all these devotees because all are thinking about me, but Jnani, I consider him to be the best. So all are thinking about me, therefore they are noble. All are thinking about God, therefore they are noble. But nale enartham? He's a very wise person, sir, but no, Guru. Guru is a very wise person, but Abdina, what does it mean? I'm going to contradict that Guru is not wise, correct? Are you able to follow? So he says, noble indeed are all these, but meaning they are all okay, but I don't consider them to be dearest to me. Only the Jnani I consider dearest to me. Why? Because the intellect is fixed on the goal, the emotions are flowing towards me. There is the confluence of the mind and intellect. The split of mind and intellect is not happening in that person, Jnani. The confluence of the mind and intellect is happening in that person. Because of the confluence of the mind and intellect happening in that person, he is dear to me. So steadfast in mind means emotion, ananya chinta. That's all it means.
So steadfast in mind, steadfast in wisdom, rendu onnuda.
It differs. Steadfast in wisdom means intellect. Steadfast in mind, in this context, steadfast in mind means ananya chinta. In some context, steadfast in mind. In some context, steadfast in mind, we will interpret it as intellect. In some context, steadfast in wisdom is in relation to the intellect. In this context, in the verse, steadfast in mind means emotion. For he is using another steadfastness. What is another steadfastness? Kama. What is kama? Kama, he is established in me alone. Are you able to follow the difference? He's talking about, see, what is the difference between steadfastness and establishment? Is there a difference? Linguistically, is there a difference? Both are same. Steadfast person is established person will be steadfast. So linguistically, both means the same. And then why is he using two different? Since he is using it two differently, we bring in the two instruments and interpret it. Where he is not bringing in the two different, he just says steadfast in mind, sense control. Sometimes he says that steadfast in wisdom, sense control. It means we'll talk about the physical discipline and the emotional intellectual discipline. So depending on the context, depending on the verse, it has to be interpreted. So here, steadfast in mind means ananya chinta. In some context, I do not know whatever context is, only when I open that verse, when we go to that context, we will know how it is interpreted there. I am talking about how it is interpreted in this verse. Are you able to follow?
In the context, in
Bhakti here.
this verse.
Yes, the context here is bhakti. It's very clear. What is he talking about here? What is the context here? Bhakti is the context. All are thinking about God. All are thinking about God. I said it already. Artha Bhakta, Artharthi Bhakta, Jignasu Bhakta, Jnani Bhakta. I said it, no? It means what? The context is already explained. Are you able to follow? Bhakti is the context here. Why do you think we spend so much of time introducing chapter 7 to chapter 12? Why do you think we spend so much of time introducing chapter 3 to chapter 6? From chapter 3 to chapter 6, what is the broad context? What is the broad context from chapter 3 to chapter 6? Karma Yoga. What is the broad context from chapter 7 to chapter 12? Bhakti Yoga. That doesn't mean he will not talk about knowledge in between.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to.
Again, from chapter 3 to chapter 6, even though the broad context is Karma Yoga, that doesn't mean he will not talk about Jnanam there, Bhakti there. He will also, but then it will not be highlighted. Here it is the highlighter. There is a whole paragraph and then you highlight, no? Will you highlight the whole paragraph? Will you highlight the whole book? Something is highlighted, which is the context. Are you able to follow? You take a highlighter and then when you highlight a word or a sentence in a paragraph, it means you are understanding the broad context. That doesn't mean that will be the only thing. The other also will be explained. But the again and again and again, the focus he will bring. Where he will bring the focus to? I'm asking you, where he will bring the focus to? The broad context. Even though the others will be explained, he will bring the focus to the broad context. So when you are reading, you should cooperate and accept what is the broad context. I think I spent 2 classes trying to explain the shift of gears from chapter 7 to chapter 12. Why? So that this confusion should not arise. This confusion should not arise. So when I go to chapter 13, we will do another introduction there. Appo 3-4 class pohum adu. Because that's a very big, here it is a different shift, there it is a totally different shift. It means that doesn't mean he will not talk about bhakti there. He will talk about it, but quickly he will come back to the main topic. What is the main topic? Bhakti. Are you able to follow? So the context here is bhakti and he is very clear here. For devotees, for devotees, for devotees. He's saying, no, the previous verse also he said, no. Bhakti hi, eka bhakti hi, they are all bhaktas, eka bhakti hi, they are all bhaktas. He's using the word, he is using the word bhakti directly. Therefore, the context is very clear. Is it okay? Are you able to follow? That's why the topic classification, the classification of dividing the Gita into 3, dividing the chapters from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 2, chapter 3, and dividing the chapters itself into topics is for what? All this exercise is done so that this confusion doesn't happen. That's why we go through this distinction. The original text of Mahabharata, this wasn't there. It was just a free discussion. It wasn't the breakups and all wasn't there. Here we have this breakup. Are you able to follow now? Is it answered?
Yeah, because I understand that 6 to 12 is bhakti. But if it is verses, then I'm not able to understand in this verse what is the context. Overall, bhakti is understood.
That is where you should focus on the words. That's why the explanations are given. That's why the explanations are given, and you should focus on the words. Steadfast in mind, comma, established in me. Since it can be interpreted as repetition for reinforcement, or it can be interpreted as 2 instruments. It can be used. Somebody will interpret it as he is reinforcing it. It is poetry, it is repetition, he is simply reinforcing. Both don't mean the two. That is one way of interpreting. Another way of interpreting is, it is one is of the mind and another is of the intellect. Now, these are all various ways of elaborating an interpretation. Precisely what is he saying? If you ask this question, precisely what is he saying? The Krishna ondu da solranum. Because only Krishna knows what he is saying. We are only interpreting it. And when we interpret it, we have to give it the value of the interpretation. And whatever appeals to your logic and reason, you take it. You don't have to take all the interpretations. You don't have to take everything. Whatever appeals to your logic and reason, you have to accept. Because at the end of the day, it is an interpretation. And I will say, if is this what Krishna says? That's why, like a joke I say, in some of the classes, if Krishna were to come and sit in this Bhagavad Gita class, he will say, I never meant any of these. Why are you saying all this as though I am saying this? He may say it also. He say, I never meant any of this. Whatever you want to say, why are you using? Why are you using my name to say whatever you want to say? That's why we are interpreting. We do one Sashtang Namaskar to Krishna and say it's only an interpretation, not the absolute. Are you able to follow? It's an interpretation which comes with its own understanding. You interpret according to the level you have penetrated. Now I am saying something different. You interpret according to the level you have penetrated. Superficial interpretation, generalized interpretation can be given. It means you have not penetrated deeper. So more you penetrate, more you will be able to interpret it differently. Are you able to follow? That's why it is always interesting when Krishna says, when somebody is interpreting Bhagavad Gita, whether they say about Krishna or not, we don't know, but you can clearly understand the quality of the interpreter can be understood. Because of the ability to dig deep and elaborate it. Are you able to follow? One way is to interpret. In these classes, I take one verse a class or maximum 2 verses a class. There are some classes I'm doing where I cover 6-7 verses in one class. Sir, and the Madri finish off this also, don't say that. Huh? I started 2 Gita sessions in pandemic. Pandemic is there for the last 15 months. I'm in chapter 8 there now. I have come to chapter 8. In some places, I may do Gita in 10 sessions also. Are you able to follow? So it all depends upon the background of the person, how much of background knowledge they have, and you should help them to see something deeper than that. Not just repeat what they already know. It means it's different. If that group where they don't even know the basics, and I told them, let us do Vedanta treatise, they said, no, sir, but Swamiji said you should read Bhagavad Gita. When they invoke the name of Swamiji, what do I do? So I can't say, no, you read. I can't say. So I said, it's okay. So what I did, I rushed through the Gita so that now they will tell me what. I think we should read Vedanta treatise. No, sir. Yeah. They will. I will make them. When I come to the 10th chapter, I will make them. I'm not manipulating or anything. But then when you know the basics, it's a different level of interpretation. When you do not know the basics, it's a different. You follow the difference? So when we are interpreting, Shailesh, how much of justification I have to give? Huh? See that, huh? And I can give another 100 more justifications I have. Huh? Are you able to follow? So one is for, this is the tip for Manana. Now that you asked this question, I'll give you the tip for Manana. First, you understand the broad context, then you understand the specific context. First, you understand the broad context, and then you understand the specific context, and they will not be contradictory to one another. If it is appearing contradictory, somewhere you have missed something. The verses are not contradictory. The text is not contradictory. The Shastra is not contradictory. If it appears contradictory, means you have missed something. With that humility, we read the text. Sometimes when it is a broad context, the specific context means it appears contradictory, no? 7 to 12, only Bhakti Yoga, nothing about Karma Yoga, nothing about Jnana Yoga, and solely boundary fixed panniyachana, it becomes very easy, no? But that's not the way it is done. The broad context will be there and the specific context will be there. And the Shastras is so beautiful. This literature, this Vedantic Shastra is so beautiful that they don't have internal contradiction at all. They don't have that contradiction. It means we have not penetrated enough. And in this classroom, I know everyone who's listening to this classes, I know, especially this classroom, I know all have a generalized understanding. All have a generalized understanding of the philosophy. I know people have. It means what I should be helping, where my role comes in now, to open up some areas that which is not yet opened up. Not to repeat the generalized understanding that you people know already. Therefore, it means what? I go more. It will be more detailed elaboration. And when that elaboration is done, I make sure that the contradictions are resolved. That's how that's how Manana should happen. And to whatever extent the interpreter has done Manana, to that extent he will be able to elaborate. Is it okay? Yeah. Okay. We will move on to the text. Up to verse number 19 we finished. And 19 he concluded by saying, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapatyate. Correct, no? That's where we left, isn't it? Bahunam janmanam ante. Many janmas it will take. At the end of many janmas, anta means the end. At the end of Bahunam janmanam, you will attain. Bahunam janmanam is not literal janmas. It means janmas also. But what it means also is the long, consistent effort that is required. It also means that. The long, consistent effort that is required is what the Mumukshu reads it as. Bahunam janmanam. How will a person of Mukshatva read this verse? Bahunam janmanam doesn't mean I have to wait for 100 more janmas. Bahunam janmanam means a lot of consistent effort is required. He understands it in that way. Which I didn't say last week, which I wanted to say. Which I didn't say last week. So it is not about many janmas. That's why the same verse can be seen pessimistically, the same verse can be seen optimistically. Meaning, if you are a pessimist, you will see it pessimistically. If you are an optimist, you will see it optimistically. Now we don't take the pessimistic view here, we see it optimistic. What is the optimism here? the tremendous effort that is required to reach that state. The tremendous effort that is required to reach the state of Brahman. Effort doesn't make you get depressed. Effort doesn't make you get disillusioned. That's what is meant Bahunam Janmanam Ante. He is not disillusioned about the effort. He is ready for the effort. And how much ever time it takes for the effort, he is prepared for that longevity. Opposite of that is little bit of effort. I want to cross check whether am I growing or not. How much more, sir? Mind and intellect में difference innum puriyilla, isn't it? Still we are confused whether there's an instrument called intellect is there or not. Yeah. Still there is the confusion, isn't it? Sometimes mind looks like intellect, sometimes intellect looks like mind. Yeah. Conscience cum conviction we are still having doubts in practice. So it means that person, little bit of effort, the result that is asked for is more. Here he is saying Bahunam Janmanam means he is not worried about the effort, nor is he worried about the longevity. He is neither worried about the effort, nor he is worried about the longevity. Why? Because he has understood. What is the understanding? Effort he is making and the grace is there. The combination of effort and grace will definitely take you to the Anta. At the end of many births, the man of wisdom reaches me, realizing that all is Vasudeva reality. All is Vasudeva. Such a great soul is very difficult to find. Such a soul is difficult to find is how you should read. Such a soul is difficult to find, and then you bring in the adjective. Such a great soul is very difficult to find. Abdinna, why that adjective greatness? What makes this person great? What makes this person great? Willing to put in the effort and not get disheartened makes this person great. Are you able to follow? This is how you should read. When you read, such a soul is difficult to find, and such a soul is very difficult to find. You read it like that first. And then you add the word great. Such a great soul is very difficult to find. Such a soul is difficult to find. Apra rendu adjective. Great and very. You can split it like that also. Yeah, that's how the study becomes very. That's where the study becomes very interesting. Such a soul is difficult to find. இவர மாதிரி ஆள் கிடைக்கிறது கஷ்டம்பா. இவர மாதிரி நல்ல ஆள் கிடைக்கிறது ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். Are you able to understand the difference between the two statements? Anshu, you don't know the Tamil, no? That's what I'm saying. Such a soul is difficult to find. Such a soul is very difficult to find. Such a great soul is very difficult to find. Wow. Such a great soul is very difficult to find. What is so unique about this person that Krishna is praising? What is so unique about this person? He is not disillusioned, disheartened about the effort. Effort is not making him disheartened. In the ordinary case of a person, effort is always disheartening. Minimum effort. Ideally no effort. Okay, I have studied Vedanta. Therefore, minimum effort. Such a great soul is very difficult to find because maximum effort. He is willing to put in that effort and not get disheartened at all. Such a great soul is very difficult to find. Where do you get a person who can, who is tireless in the effort? He is tireless in the effort because there is no result orientation. He will be tireless in his effort only when there is no result orientation. The moment result orientation comes in, fatigue comes, worry comes. Oh my God, how long to continue like this, sir? Sir, how long should I struggle more? How much to put in more and more effort? These kind of questions this person doesn't ask. Therefore, such a great soul is very difficult to find. What questions he doesn't ask? He is not disheartened about the effort, nor is he result oriented, nor is he measuring the time. I am willing to put in the effort, but how long? Till you get there. When will I get there? Very soon. You should not say, I don't know. That's pessimism. You say, I don't know, you are pessimistic. You have not yet learned properly. Very soon. That's what Krishna is saying, no? Very soon. Achirenath adigacchati. Very soon. What is that very soon? Bahunam janmanam. What a cheating, sir, this is. On the one hand, you say very soon, and then on the other hand, you say Bahunam Janmanam Krishna. Whether it is Achirena or Bahunam Janmanam, say that very clearly. Krishna says, you don't know the logic of life. The moment you are ready for Bahunam Janmanam, it happens Achirena. The moment you want Achirena, it will extend to Bahunam Janmanam. You don't know the mathematics of life, he says. If you know the mathematics of life, you will not have this problem. Are you able to follow? The moment you are ready for Bahunam Janmanam, it happens Achirena. Very soon it will happen. If you want it very soon, it will go to Bahunam Janmanam. Beautiful is the teaching. Beautiful is the teaching. Beautiful is the way in which it is explained. Such a great soul is very difficult to find. Why very difficult? And what makes the soul great? He never looks back at so much I have done. What did I get? He never looks back. That's why he's great. He never looks back. He's always looking. He's always looking forward. He never looks back. Mind always look back. Looks back means what? Just making sure I'm in the right direction, sir. I'm looking back. Why am I looking back? Only to make sure that I'm in the right direction. The very fact that you are looking back itself means you have lost the direction. Why the doubt itself will not come? Why the doubt won't come? Because you are convinced about the combination. What is the combination? The effort and grace. The effort is happening. The grace is there, that is just carrying you through. When both are working together, what is the need to look back and check whether am I in the... But every time we have to do stock taking, no sir, just to make sure that we are in the right direction. In the spiritual path, you don't need to do all that. You don't need to do all that. All that you got to do is what? Such a great soul. This great soul did that. Therefore, he became great. Are you able to follow? This fellow, he refused to look back. Otherwise, he always constantly look back and compare notes. Compare notes. Compared to 3 years back, I am better now, no? Compared to 5 years back, I am becoming better, no? Still, I understand long way to go, but at least give me the certificate that I am becoming better, no? And the Guru says, you are useless. Guru says, you are useless. Nothing has happened. You are useless. Nothing has happened. We get very angry with the guru at some point of time. Why? Because why can't he certify me? Why can't he give a certification saying you are on the right track? The Bahunam Janmanamla, half is gone, only half more is left. Why can't he say all that and motivate me? Krishna says, go back, go back, go back, go back. Why? Because you are still being very materialistic approach only. You are still bringing in the materialistic approach only. You have not turned, you have not, at the deepest core, you have not turned the spiritual core. The core didn't change. You are making an effort to change. Yeah. Okay, sir. But at least some practical touchstone. How do I understand that? What is the touchstone? Touchstone means? I don't know. What is touchstone? Scholar, Manohar. Our scholar is. He will write one whole paragraph and I can't understand one word of what he writes. And straight away I will say he is correct. Yeah. He will write one big paragraph, he will write. Third word, I get very confused. And I can't say I'm confused. No, so straight away I will say, all right, touchstone enna, Manohar. Measuring stick. Yeah. The result orientation will not, you cannot let go of the result orientation. This soul is very great. Why this person is very great? Because he is able to let go of that which is very difficult to let go. What is that which is very difficult to let go? Put in the effort and not bother about the result. Put in the effort and not bother about the result. That is impossible. It is difficult. Impossible means very difficult. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha kurunandana. Chapter 2 itself he said. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi. When we did that, I explained it. What is Vyavasayatmika buddhihi? Farmer's buddhi. What is a farmer's buddhi? Plow the field when the sun is beating you down, not knowing whether rains are going to come or not. You don't look at the weatherman report. Yeah. Tamil Nadu weatherman, isn't it? You don't look at that weatherman's report and start plowing the field. You plow the field and wait. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha kurunandana. Such a soul is very difficult to find. Such a great soul is very difficult to find. So yeah. This is verse number 19. We move on to verse number 20.
कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानाः प्रबध्यन्तेऽन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानाः प्रबध्यन्तेऽन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया.
Those deprived of wisdom approach other gods through various desires, resorting to corresponding rites led by their own nature. How the deluded, ignorant misses the essence. That's what he's discussing now. How the deluded, ignorant people misses. Those deprived of wisdom, Krita Jnanaha. Krita Jnanaha means those who have murdered their wisdom. Those who have killed their wisdom. Krita Jnanaha, deprived, comes from the word Hanti, meaning murdering. Those deprived of wisdom means those who have murdered their wisdom. Approach other gods through various desires, resorting to corresponding rites led by their own nature. Various approach other gods refers to various materialistic pursuits. Other gods refers to materialistic pursuits. Resorting to corresponding rites, R-I-T-E. Right means whatever proper action has to be done to get to that, they will do that. Whatever proper action has to be done to get to the materialistic goals, they will do that right action, and they get there and they get that materialistic result also. But what they miss? What do they miss? They miss me. That's what he said. Those deprived of wisdom approach other gods. What is approaching? Anya Devataha. Anya Devataha means other gods. Other gods means various goals. Various goals. You can have a single goal, or you can have various materialistic pursuits. Materialistic pursuits are always multifarious by nature. Spiritual pursuit alone can be single pointed. Materialistic pursuits by nature are various. Why? You will get wealth, but wealth will not give you that. So you want something else. You will get that, but that will not satisfy you. You want something else. You want something else. So in the materialistic world, you will pursue very many gods, meaning very many goals. You will pursue very many goals, and you will do the right action to get to that goal. You will do the right action to get that. What is the right action to get that? You will join the right institution. You will join the right course. You will study well. You will get qualified. You will make wealth. All that is corresponding rights to fulfill that desire. You will do all that, and you will get that desire. Led by their own nature, by their own prakriti, swaprakriti, led by their own nature, inner nature. Swaprakriti, swabhava, all one and the same. Sometimes they will use the word swaprakriti, sometimes they will use the word swabhava, sometimes they will use the word swadharma. Whenever it is prefixed with swa, one's own nature. Are you able to follow? Led by their own nature. What is their nature? They are still materialistic by nature. Those who are materialistic by nature pursue the materialistic goals, and they attain it, having murdered the wisdom, having killed the wisdom. They get it. He's not saying you will not get it. Are you able to see the difference? He's saying you will get it, but what have you done in the process? Kritagnyanaha. You have murdered. You deprived yourself. You deprived yourself. How did you deprive yourself? By going to Anya Devataha. What is Anya Devataha? We know that. What is Anya Devataha? What is Anya Devataha? Name, fame, power, position, status, wealth, family. These are all the Anya Devataha. And for all this Anya Devataha, there is a corresponding deity. For this Anya Devataha, there is a corresponding deity. So when you are after knowledge, it is Saraswati. When you are after wealth, it is Lakshmi. When you are after power, it is goddess. Who's for power?
Durga.
Durga one. Very by mark, isn't it? The name of the god itself is frightening. Durga. God should be worshipped. A single God should not be worshipped, sir. If you worship God with the family together, your family also will be together. They worship gods like that. Correct? Why? Because single God, if you worship, everybody in the family will become single and run away. Therefore, you should not worship single God. What God you should worship? Family God. Anya Devataha. You worship that, you will get that. You worship that. Not only they are merely worshipping, they also do the corresponding right action. They do the corresponding right action to get that, and they get it. What did they lose? They lose the wisdom. What is the wisdom that is lost? What is the wisdom that is lost? You try to fulfill a desire so that you can become better in life. Try to fulfill a desire so that life becomes better. That is depriving wisdom. For betterment in life has got nothing to do with fulfilling the desire. Betterment in life happens by understanding what life is all about. Are you able to notice the difference? Why these people do it? Because they believe that by fulfilling the desire, life becomes better. Betterment in life doesn't come through fulfilling the desires. Betterment in life comes through understanding what life is. These people here, instead of understanding what life is, they resort to other gods, Anya Devataha. This verse can be interpreted also as saying Krishna is very clear. Worship only me. Don't worship Shiva or other gods and all. You should not worship. You should worship only me, because he's saying it very clearly. What? Anya Devataha you worship, you are Kritagnyanaha. So it means what you should worship? You should only say Krishna, 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 you have to say. If you say Rama by mistake also, you will lose. Even by mistake, if you say, oh Shiva, you are lost. That is another way of interpreting. People interpret it in that way also. But then we understand that's a very poor interpretation. That doesn't make any, because he's not talking about a particular personality here as Deva. God and gods. We saw that in thesis on God. When we did thesis on God, we saw the difference between God and gods. In plural, it's worldly goals. In singular, it is Brahman. When we say gods, it is worldly goals. Desires of different natures emerge from a person endlessly. Again, desires of different natures emerge from a person endlessly. And if you go on pursuing this and try to achieve it, what happens? Endless pursuit. The pursuit becomes endless. And endless pursuit is the futile pursuit. Endless pursuit means makes it futile. That futility is murdering the wisdom. Sritagnyanaha. Deprive yourself of wisdom means the futility is depriving the wisdom. Now what do you do? What do you do? when you are pursuing gods, you ask yourself this question. Is it an end in itself, or it has a utilitarian value but not an end in itself? This is knowledge. Is wealth needed or not? It has a utilitarian value. Wealth definitely has a utilitarian value. Vedanta is not denying that. It never says wealth is futile because it has a utilitarian value. What does a utilitarian value means? What it can give and what it cannot give. What wealth can give and what wealth cannot give. So when you are pursuing wealth, you know very clearly what it can give and what it cannot give. Since you know what wealth cannot give, you will not seek that from wealth. What wealth cannot give? Security wealth cannot give. Therefore, what you will not seek from wealth? Security. It means you have the right knowledge. Are you able to follow? I'm just taking wealth as an example. Everything can be analyzed. Everything should be analyzed in this manner. Everything should be analyzed in this manner. Family. Family has a utilitarian value. What is the utilitarian value? You cannot do all by yourself. That's why family because machines are doing everything. No, there is a washing machine, there is a cooking machine, there is a drying machine. Everything is there. If machine does everything, what you don't need? Another human being. Dogs are better, sir. Because keeping a dog is much safer than keeping another human being. Yeah. But then you understand what? Only human species want to associate with all other species except their own. All other species want to associate only with their species. You know that? Human beings alone want to associate with all other species except their own. Other species wants to associate with, they all will live harmoniously, but they will never go and develop a association, it will not develop. So you understand what is the role of the family. What is the role of the family? It teaches you something. What it teaches you? What it teaches you? Interdependency. Family is a very important unit that teaches you what? Interdependence. Dependent, independent, and interdependent. Having understood life as the phenomena of interdependence, family becomes a unit of recognizing a fact. What is the fact? As a social unit, we have to live together. We cannot live isolated. Or wherever you go, you will create a family. No, because it becomes a need. Therefore, what do you understand? What family can give? Okay, what family cannot give? That we can say very easily, sir. What family cannot give? Peace of mind, it cannot give. Happiness and peace of mind, it cannot give. What it will give? Stress and strain. Huh? Ravi is only he's nodding his head also. Yeah. Is only giving stress and strain only. Uh, Family, the hope is peace and happiness, but what it is actually giving is stress and, right, na? What family can give and what family cannot give. Peace of mind, it can never give. Why? Because family unit is not for peace of mind. Wealth is not for security. Wealth is for transactional purposes. Family is not what? See, why? Because security comes from what? Security comes from the right knowledge and understanding. Security comes from knowledge and understanding. Peace of mind comes from service and sacrifice. Peace of mind comes from service and sacrifice. And family unit is a very good area for you to practice service and sacrifice. That's why they say at least one person, no? And that one person becomes the most difficult person. Why? Because that person is not ideal person, sir. Then who's the ideal person? You say stand up, that fellow will stand up. You say sit down, the fellow will sit. You say that get lost, the fellow will get lost. And if you say come back, the fellow will come back. He is an ideal person, sir. This is called, what is this called? In one word, selfishness. In one word, this is called selfishness. And family as a unit is to guide you to move out of that selfishness. Are you able to follow? So what family teaches you? To serve, to sacrifice, to move out of selfishness. And once you learnt it, you don't restrict it to that 2, 3. Family is a unit where you learn it. Having learnt it, you don't restrict it to that 2, 3. Your home should be the center. Complete it. Your home should be the center of affection. Exactly. And not the boundary. Therefore, what family is supposed to give? It should not be the boundary of your affection. Are you able to follow? What wealth can give? What family? So you each and everything you analyze it like that. You have the right knowledge and understanding. You will not seek them as an end in itself. Kritajnanaha means seeking them as end in itself. Seeking them as end in itself. End in itself means if I have wealth, I will feel secure, sir. If I get married, I will be happy. If you get married with the hope of becoming happy, where it will end up? Where will your happiness end up? Divorce pannada, sir, happiness now. At one point of time, happiness will be in marrying that person. At another point of time, happiness will be in getting away from that person. At one point of time, ready to do anything to get to that person. At another point of time, ready to do anything to get away from that person. Even if it means committing suicide also. Doesn't matter. But I just want to be rid of that person. It means you have no Anya Devataha will reduce you to this condition. Are you able to follow now? Anya Devataha will reduce you to this condition. Therefore, what is the right way? Mundane goals by doing the proper right action, the proper ways and means to achieve these ends will get you that, but wisdom will be lost. If you worship Anya Devataha, Arjuna, what will happen to you? You will have that as the end, and you will do the proper right action to get there, and you will get it. What you will lose? What you will lose? Kritajnanaha. Wisdom is lost. Kritajnanaha. Wisdom is lost. Therefore, Arjuna, Anya Devataha, ignorant people go there. Why they do that? Led by their own nature. Swaprakriti. Led by their own nature. Swaprakriti. Swaprakriti means one's own nature. The Swaprakriti in the 18th chapter, he will call it as Swabhava. The Swaprakriti in the 2nd chapter, he called it as Swadharma. Same word, one concept, moon word. Ranjani is burning me with her third eye, sir. Why can't you use the same word? Swaprakriti, 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 then it becomes easy. No, she's got the third eye. Yeah, the third eye with which I can feel the heat here. Swaprakriti is the word he is using here. Swabhava is the word he will use in 18th chapter. Swadharma is the word he used in the 2nd chapter. Next week group discussion, you can discuss this. Yeah. Swaprakriti, Swanarayanji, Swaprakriti, Swabhava, Swadharma. Oh my God. Yeah. It is meant for that purpose. I am not joking. Seriously, I am not. It is meant for that purpose only. Are you able to follow? What is Swaprakriti? Your own nature. And what is your own nature? Desires of different natures will emerge endlessly. You yourself will be shocked that where was it hiding for so long? You will be shocked. Where was it hiding in you for so long? It is there. It is there. Where was it hiding in you for so long? It will manifest. Swaprakriti means it will helplessly manifest. And you will just follow the helpless manifestation. It will helplessly manifest. Instead of monitoring it, what you do, you go along with it. And when you are going along with it, you have lost your wisdom. Krita jnanaha. Helplessly you go with it, wisdom is lost. Therefore, verse number 20, he says, those deprived of wisdom approach other gods through various desires, resorting to corresponding rites led by their own nature. They pursue those desires and fulfill that. They pursue it, fulfill it, only to get disappointed. They pursue it, they fulfill it to get disappointed. They pursue it, fulfill it, get disappointed. Janma after Janma, they do the same thing because they are worshipping the Anya Devataha. At least now, Arjuna, start worshipping me. Start worshipping me. Me meaning the self, the Brahman. Once you are fixed on that idea, you don't deprive yourself of the wisdom. Otherwise, you deprive yourself of the wisdom. This is verse number 20. And we continue from verse number 21 onwards in the next session. With this, we conclude verse number 20. Venkat, is there?
Yeah, Mala has posted a few questions.
Mala has posted. The word ego is confusing. She's still in yesterday, I think. Yes, she didn't come back to today. Yeah, she's still in yesterday. The word ego is confusing. How will a jnani use the word? How will an ignorant person use the word? How will a seeker of knowledge use it? Jnani will not use the word ego. Ignorant person is ego. How will a seeker of knowledge use it? Seeker of knowledge will want to conquer the ego. Jnani will not use the word because there is no ego. Why will he use the word ego? Ignorant will not use it also. Why? Because ego personified he is. How will a seeker of knowledge use it? To let go of it. You can use the word conquering it, or you can use the word let go of it. Doesn't matter. So what exactly is ego? Make that which makes you convinced that you are individual and not part of the whole. That is ego. The notion that you are separate from the whole is ego. So what is ego? You don't understand that you are part of the whole. You understand that you are separated. You are separate from the whole. That is ego. Are you able to follow? What exactly is ego? Mala, are you okay, Ma? Ego means you feel that you are a sense of individuality. I am separate from the whole. That's that notion that you are an individual is ego. Ahamkara. அகங்காரங்கிறது எங்கேருந்து வருது? அகம் கர்த்தாங்கிறதுல இருந்து அகங்கார comes. அகங்கார it comes from aham karta. I am the doerன்றதுல இருந்து அகங்கார comes. So what is ego? I am the doer na ego.
Oh, right.
I am the ego. Ahankara na aham karta. I am the doer. That's where ego manifests in three ways. We say I am the doer. I am the enjoyer. I alone exist.
Oh, right.
In the moon add panna, you get something. I alone exist. I am the doer. I am the enjoyer. You add all these three, you get one entity. You get something. And the something க்கு என்ன பேரு? And that something, what is the name of that something?
Ego.
What is the name of something?
ஈகோன்னு சொல்லலாமா? அதுதான் ஈகோவா?
What is the name of something? Mala Venkatesan.
So Mala Venkatesanங்கிற ego.
Ego. Because I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I alone exist. So all these three put together gives an entity, and that entity is given a name. This is ego. Are you able to follow?
So
Ego-less means, now what is ego-less means?
That I am Atman.
I am not the doer. Or I am spoke in the wheel. When the doership reduces, ego reduces. When the enjoyership reduces, the ego reduces. When the I alone exist reduces, reduction of these three results in the reduction of ego. So if you have to reduce your ego, you have to reduce these three. And adding up these three is what ego is. So if you want to reduce your ego, what you have to reduce? I alone exist. I alone exist. There, I alone exist. Wherever I go, I'm worried about my comfort. No, it means I alone exist. Anything I do, I should like it, no sir. I should be happy doing, no sir. it means you are worried about your, it means you are worried about your happiness. It means what? If murdering will give happiness, you will start murdering also. Because you are worried about your happiness, your enjoyment. Are you able to follow? The third is I am the doer. What does I am the doer means? Whatever I am doing is more important than everybody is doing, sir. But what I am doing is slightly more important than the others. And that slightly more important is so big, so big, so big. Are you able to follow what ego is now? Are you able to
Clear.
understand?
Clear. Yeah, clear.
Clearness
So,
மேல
Sir,
பேசுறீங்க.
in that sense, தமிழ்ல சொல்ற கர்வம்ங்கிறது கூட it falls in line in a way.
Yes. Garva is that I, the I-ness, pride. Garva is the pride, I-ness.
Because இங்க புஸ்தகத்துல ஏன் தர்பஹாவோ வேற ஏதோ வேர்டு கூட யூஸ் பண்றாரு. I don't know why then he is using both அகங்காரம் and தர்ப்பம். தமிழ் நிறைய புக்ல தர்ப்பம்னா
He
கர்வம்னு
uses
போடுறாரு.
lot of words they use. That's what that's why I explained in the beginning of the class. Lot of words will be used. Yeah. How many third eyes are attacking me now? He uses very many words they will use. Why they will use very many words? They have to use very many words. Unless these words are used, you will not reflect. You will say, I know, and you will move on. You will not reflect. How to make you reflect? It means I have to use very many words. Sometimes contradictory words also they will use. That's the inbuilt style for Manana. That's the inbuilt style for Manana. Is it okay, Mala?
Sir, just one question, sir. Yesterday you said the ego is not equal to Brahman or Atman.
Yes,
So
yes.
when a jnani merges with God, when he doesn't see a duality,
Yes.
when the ego goes off,
Yes.
in that sense, ego can also be called as Brahman Atman to him at that stage. Can that be said?
When you come to the level of self-realization, everything is Brahman. There is only
Okay.
Brahman. When you come to the level of self-realization and talk, there is only Brahman. From the angle of ocean, there is only water. From the angle of the river, there is an individuality. Now, are you talking from the angle of the river or are you talking from the angle of the ocean? When you're talking from the angle of the ocean, only one thing exists. What? Water. Water. When you're talking from the angle of the river, there is a difference. So after merger, everything becomes one. Therefore, it is Brahman. So you can say, which is what I said yesterday. Even when it is calling itself as Ganges or Yamuna or Godavari or Krishna or Kaveri, it is all nothing but water. Even then it is Brahman only. Correct? Even then it is Brahman only. But it doesn't. It believes that it has a separate identity. Are you able to understand the difference? That's why the ocean and river example is conveys this point very clearly. Even what is Ganges? Water. What is Yamuna? Water. What is Godavari? Water. What is Palar? No water. Huh? So there is no water here. What is Palar? No water, sir. Even then, it is only water. From the angle of the ocean, only water exists. From the angle of the river, distinction exists. And when the river enters the ocean, what is lost? What is lost?
River is lost.
The sense of I am a separate water got lost. That's all. What it understood that I am all along I was only water. What is self-realization? What is self-realization? Recognizing that all along I was only water, unnecessarily I thought differently. Apuryamanam Achala Pratishtam, he gives an example of river entering the ocean. Why? Because all along it is only water, but it didn't know that it is water. Now it understood that it is. Now it understood that it is water. So from the angle of water, there is no such thing called ego ever existing. Understand this. From the angle of water, there is no such thing called ego ever existing. From the angle of ego, it has a temporary existence. From the angle of water, it never exists. It's only water. You can call it Ganges, you can call it Yamuna, you can call it Kaveri, you can call it Amazon, you can call it Nile. Any name you can give. But all only water. That is one angle. That is from the angle of the ocean, the water. From the angle of the Ganges, it had a temporary existence as Ganges. And why it is called temporary existence? Because it will not stay quiet till it merges with the Ganges cannot stay quiet till it reaches the ocean. Is it okay, Mala?
Yeah, very clear, sir. Very clear.
Yes. With this, avladana Venkat?
So, one more.
Yes, posted 2 more.
One more. Yaru?
Allah only.
இல்ல தெரிஞ்சிடுத்துட்டாங்க அவ்வளவுதான் புரிஞ்சிடுத்து.
இல்ல sir. இன்னும் ஒரு கேள்வி sir.
அதுல ஒரு கேள்வி இருக்கா? After understanding, why another question? While explaining the, what are you referring? Chapter 18, Shloka 42. Is that the reference you are giving?
Sir, basically, I want to know the correlation between gunas, varnas, and Daivasura Sampatti.
Okay, please wait.
Okay.
We are going to do that.
Okay.
Because I cannot summarize chapter 14, chapter 16, chapter 17, chapter 18 in what you are basically asking is explain chapter 14, chapter 16, chapter 17, chapter 18. That's the question, which we are going to do definitely.
But any varna can have any guna, and any varna can have any daiva sampatta or asura sampatta. I mean, that's
Yes.
what I understand. Otherwise, you wouldn't
Yes.
have said that.
Yes. It can be, you can be a very sincere any varna. You can be a sincere watchman, no? And you can be a very insincere CEO. It is possible. That's what it means. It is possible. To answer your question in one sentence, you can be a very sincere watchman. Correct? Therefore, there is always a mixture which we will deal in detail when we go there. To answer the question now, it is, you can be a very sattvic, sincere watchman. It is possible. Are you able to follow? You can be a very sincere sattvic watchman. Is it possible? Yes. How it is possible and all that we will discuss in detail there. I am not elaborating it because I am not going to the elaboration now. I am giving you the answer. Yes, it is possible. How? That we have to wait. I am not taking it up now.
So I don't know why Krishna hasn't done the correlation. I mean, he has given guna separately, varna separately. I mean, that appears to me as two, I mean, separate entities.
Correct.
Maybe
Separate only two. You have to synthesize. When teaching is done, one way of teaching is breaking it up into parts. Another way of teaching is synthesizing. Teaching, if it is done synthetically, it will be very confusing. Teaching always has to be done analytically. Are you able to follow? Analytical means breaking it up into parts. Teaching can happen only when it's done analytically. If synthetically teaching is done, you will not learn anything. Therefore, teaching means analytical. Synthesis we have to make through manana. You have to synthesize through manana. Krishna will not do that. In fact, he did it in chapter 2. Adu purilandradanalatha we have come here. So we can't say Krishna didn't do. He did it already in chapter 2. But he did it so beautifully, it went over our head. Now we have to elaborate. Okay, ma?
Okay.
With
Thanks a
this, we conclude for today.